So now that the Super Bowl is done and gone, I can give you another updated 2017 NFL mock draft. Oh boy! And this one is a 3-round edition, and you could feast and behold your eyes upon it in the description box down below. So now we know the draft order for the 2017 NFL draft. Now, with the Super Bowl in the rearview mirror, we can really start to fully dive in on the NFL draft, which I have been doing for a little while now and will continue to do so, in particular with my team by team recaps, which you can check out on this channel, as well as my individual scouting reports, which I'm progressing with and will really get to work on them here in the next several weeks to come. You're going to get a lot more of them, so stay tuned. But in terms of this mock draft, the number one pick is still Myles Garrett. Especially Cleveland switching to a 4-3. I know he is trying to sit there and half joke that he wants the Dallas Cowboys to trade for him. He's half not joking because he's serious and he knows it. But at the end of the day, for the Cleveland Browns and what they're looking for, the presumptive pick right now, I think, is Myles Garrett, unless something seismically changes. Now, you'll notice a small seismic change in this mock in terms of number 2. I don't have a quarterback going, and I also don't have Jonathan Allen going there. Especially with their switch to the 4-3, I've got Solomon Thomas going there. And, I know he doesn't have the big hype over the past few years like a Myles Garrett or a Jonathan Allen, but Solomon Thomas as a prospect takes a backseat to nobody. And I promise you, the more you watch his film, the more you like his film, and you really start to wonder if he isn't actually the best edge rusher in the 2017 NFL Draft. Boom, I said it. Which leaves my Bears at number 3 to settle for Jonathan Allen. And that's not really settling because the argument could be made that he might be the number 1 player in this entire draft in terms of from an all-around standpoint. And he would be a perfect ideal fit for the Bears as a 3-4 defensive end. Worry about the quarterback position later. It's about getting talent because you have needs all over the place. And, arguably the best available player at that point in time on the board would be Jonathan Allen. I still think when it comes to doing these mock drafts, you look at it the way it is right now. We still have the combine and pro days and a lot of ways to go. I think a lot of people feel pretty comfortable about Cleveland at number 1 and most likely feel relatively comfortable about the Bears taking the best available defensive player at number 3. It's number 2, San Francisco, and number 4, Jacksonville, where things could get screwy or are really hard to figure out. For this time, I had him sit there and sign or draft Jamal Adams. They could go any number of different ways with this pick. We got a long ways to go to figure it out. So this is the pick that I usually spend a little bit of time on in the top range because I'm just not sure the direction that they go in. In terms of other notable picks, Chargers fans are probably going to be pissed off at me because I don't have them taking Malik Hooker. But I promise you, if you watch Corey Davis and you pay attention, you would like Corey Davis and you would want the Chargers, who have brought in an offensive-minded head coach whose team will ultimately go as far only as Phillip Rivers can take them. You've got to stud now and Joey Bosa on the defensive side of the ball. You need to give some help to Phillip Rivers in the passing game. You can't seriously go into a season with an injury-prone Keenan Allen, Travis Benjamin, Tyrell Williams as your wide receiving core. You just can't do that. Corey Davis instantly gives Phillip Rivers a number 1 wide receiver to throw to. The Carolina Panthers probably be doing backflips if Malik Hooker fell to them at number 8 because they really need an impact player at the back end of their secondary, and especially with Fournette going off the board and how great of a fit he would be for them. Probably couldn't be a more ideal situation for them with Fournette and Davis off the board than if Carolina ended up with Malik Hooker at number 8. For the Cincinnati Bengals at number 9, Reuben Foster seems to be a popular pick right now, and I understand it. Believe me, I do. When I was doing this mock draft, I almost wanted to put Reuben Foster number 3 to Chicago. And I know there's talk that when it comes to the inside linebacker, middle linebacker position, it doesn't carry the same value in part because these guys don't typically rush the passer off of the edge. But I'll pose this question to Bears fans in particular who might agree with that assessment and might prefer Jonathan Allen. If you had the chance to take Brian Urlacher number 3 overall, would you? If you had the chance to take Mike Singletary number 3 overall, would you? Like the Bears did back in '65. You had the chance to take Dick Butkus 3rd overall, would you? Going back further, if you had the chance to take Bill George number 3 overall, would you? The answer is an unequivocal yes. If you feel Reuben Foster is that special, and a lot of people do, and you look at the Bears defense, and you look for where they can get impact players and difference makers. And at the linebacking position, that is one place they are sorely lacking, in particular on the inside. Boy, Reuben Foster sure makes a world of sense. I know you want to get cute and talk about trading down, but if he's your dude and he feels like the right fit, and you think he could be the type of 3-down difference maker that I do think he can be at the NFL level, it'd be really hard to pass on him at number 3, regardless of what anybody says. Because if he could be an Urlacher type of presence for you, he could be your franchise player for the next decade. So for the Bengals to be able to get him at number 9 and address a major need while not having to reach and getting what looks like arguably the best player on the board at that moment, they would have to feel really, really good about themselves, and you would expect him to have an immediate impact in the middle of that Bengals defense. Number 10, Buffalo. There's a lot of thoughts to potentially them wanting to take a quarterback here. And that could possibly play out, especially at this point in time, if they have their choice of all the quarterbacks. I know Mitch Trubisky gets mocked a lot high. Some have Deshaun Kaiser going high. Some even will have Deshaun Watson going high. But there's just a part of me that believes once you get into the rest of the draft process and people start to study Mahomes more, and I believe I know he had like the wrist surgery, so how much he'll be able to work out will be questionable. But you just look at him. Why would I take a Mahomes over Trubisky? Mahomes is bigger. He's a little more athletic, and he's got much better arm talent overall. Trubisky has arm talent, but I don't think he has Patrick Mahomes' arm talent. And I just wonder if the Buffalo Bills would look at him and feel like he would be the best fit for what they want to do going forward, especially if they don't keep Tyrod Taylor, or frankly, even if they do. I know Browns fans will throw a fit at me once again for having Njoku, the tight end from Miami, going number 12. Look, this is a really, really good tight end class. And you're for sure going to have 2 tight ends go in the first round. And I know a lot of people point to O.J. Howard as being a complete prospect, and he is a complete player. He does a lot of things well. I don't know if he's great at any one thing, but he's a really polished, well-rounded player. But Njoku has special athleticism that you just can't coach, you just can't teach. And while some will sit there and say that, well, Eric Ebron had some of that, even Ebron didn't have what Njoku has. And wait until this dude goes to the combine and absolutely tears the roof off the mother sucker. I wouldn't be surprised if he gets top 10 buzz, which in part is a reflection of the talent of this tight end class, but also is a reflection of the potential upside of a Njoku. It's crazy. Now, I've still got O.J. Howard going in the top 20. He goes to Tennessee at 18, where he could play in some 2 tight end sets with Delanie Walker and eventually take over for Delanie Walker. That would seem to be a great fit for me, especially if you're the Titans. You get Lattimore at 5 and then O.J. Howard at 18. You've done pretty well for yourself in round 1. Really, really well for yourself in round 1. One name you'll probably see in the top 20 that surprises you, but maybe it doesn't, is Haason Reddick from Temple. He's getting a lot of buzz right now, and he seems to be able to be a guy that you would project to be that speedy type of inside linebacker in a 3-4. And he's just a very well-polished player, well-rounded in his game. And, I think that there's a very good chance that he ends up getting taken ahead of Zach Cunningham in this draft. Another thing that may surprise you is that I've got Forrest Lamp going 19 to the Buccaneers. I know Buccaneers fans probably want some other type of offensive player here, but if I mock them in O.J. Howard or David Njoku, they get butthurt. I don't think they're going to take Kamara at 19 because they've still paid Doug Martin a big ton of money, but maybe they would. But you still have to protect Jameis Winston better. That's a way to improve your offense, isn't it? And as far as offensive linemen, there's a chance that a guy like Forrest Lamp could potentially be the first offensive lineman taken, especially with Ramczyk coming off of the hip surgery and Cam Robinson having some questions about what his best NFL position is, along with some off-the-field concerns. I wouldn't be surprised if a Forrest Lamp snuck in there and was the first offensive lineman taken, or maybe somebody else when all is said and done. This is the way I look at it. Detroit at number 21, getting Alvin Kamara, I think would be a godsend for them. Like I mentioned in his scouting report, while he's not quite there with a Dalvin Cook or a Leonard Fournette, it wouldn't surprise me if you put him in the right situation, the right system, that he could have a similar type of impact as a rookie and have darn near as good a career as those guys. Kamara in Detroit is a perfect matching of need and talent, opportunity, systems, so many different things. He's a 3-down back, and he just seems to fit so well with what the Detroit Lions would want to do on offense. So for my money, that's the type of guy that I would want if I'm the Detroit Lions at 21, even with some of the off-field concerns from the past. They are in the past, and they're a couple of years removed in the past. This is a special athletic talent. And he's the type of guy that could really bring balance to your force on the offensive side of the ball, and you could really do some interesting things with him. In terms of other things that stand out, I've still got the Giants taking, a young quarterback at 23. This time it's Trubisky. Again, I think it makes a lot of sense for the Giants here at 23 to really explore taking a young quarterback because Eli's not going to make it to 40 playing at anywhere near an NFL starting quarterback level. I just can't envision it. I can't see it. The dude, all these years later, still can't consistently hit guys on flats and screen passes. What do you think is going to happen 2 or 3 years from now? Trubisky, 1 year of college starting experience. You could draft him, sit on him 2 or 3 years, and then maybe the heir apparent takes over, and you don't really skip a beat. And he's got the arm talent to get the ball to OBJ down the field long term. TJ Watt going to Green Bay at 29, that feels like central casting. JJ Watt's brother from Wisconsin, played at Wisconsin, Green Bay Packers type of player is what he really seems like to me. So I wouldn't be surprised if they went in that direction. Like I said, you can check out the rest of the draft. I tried to touch on some of these other players and teams more than I usually did. If you want me to talk about some of these other teams and players, feel free to chime in the comments section. I'll have another mock draft up probably in 2 weeks, only from the standpoint of I'm trying to get these team recaps blown through, and I'm trying to get more scouting reports done and more scouting report videos uploaded. So I think in about 2 weeks, right before the combine, I'll do probably a pre-combine mock draft. So look for that then, and then, like I said, check out the other content on this channel with a lot more draft-related stuff still to come over the next 2.5 months. Oh, baby!